GetUp is the place where new technology meets progressive politics. And in fact, I'm not the founder of GetUp. David Madden and Jeremy Hymans are the two founders of GetUp, and I emailed them this morning and I said, have we just missed the 2-year anniversary? And they're like, yeah, it was on the 1st of August. So anyway, this can be the impromptu 2-year anniversary celebration of GetUp. Yeah, so thanks. In 2 years, we've kind of come a pretty long way, I reckon. The aim of the organisation is to build a progressive Australia, but the subtext is also about engaging Australians in politics. And I think a lot of us here probably feel quite disengaged, or have felt at some point really disengaged from the sort of, or disillusioned from mainstream politics. I think both political parties, or all political parties, have been somewhat disappointing, and the last 10 years, certainly for progressives, have been a very distressing and disappointing period. And so what we decided to do was, give people an opportunity. I mean, there's been lots of spikes of activity, around the Iraq War and around work choices and around calling upon the government to say sorry to the stolen generation, but not really a sustained mechanism for people to be able to link in. And I think that's the thing that new technology has given us. It's given us a way in which to, communicate with each other, and also, well, for us as the sort of the main hub to be able to communicate with what we call the GetUp community. Incidentally, the GetUp community is now 190,000 people. So just to put that in context, that's more than every political party in the country combined. That's a really significant force. And just to sort of give you an idea of, often what happens is we send an email out to our membership and we say, hey guys, this is about to happen. Like, for instance, we've campaigned around Mohammed Hanif, I should say, and David Hicks, and of course the Northern Territory emergency legislation. And so what we try to do is kind of aggregate all of the people who are concerned about that issue and then take it to Canberra, often as the main point of contact, as being sort of the peak decision-making body for the country or the Parliament House. And just to give you an idea, we have incredible access. I've pretty much in every meeting that we've asked for with every politician from every political party, we haven't asked to meet the Prime Minister as yet, they've said yes. And in Canberra, in Parliament House last week, I was doing a tour of the press gallery, so all of the major media outlets, as you can imagine, are in Canberra, and every single meeting that I had, the journos and the political editors and so on were just totally blown away by what we as a community have managed to achieve. And a couple of those things are, the first real campaign win was around ABC funding. Can I just get a show of hands of who was involved in that one? Okay, cool. So that was basically where we called upon the government to grant the ABC its triennial funding submission, and there was a whole stack of campaigning that went on behind the scenes and in front of the, sort of out in the public, and the ultimate outcome, and of course there was a range of different organisations that were campaigning on this, but we got 87,000 people signing the petition, met with Costello's office, with Coonan's office and so on, and in the end an $88 million increase in ABC funding was awarded. Similarly, I think the work that we've all done around RU486 had a significant impact around the conscience vote. Certainly, those images of the 4 senators from the 4 political parties united together was at the GetUp press conference receiving the GetUp petition. And then, of course, when the Prime Minister had to back down on the Migration Act, when he tried to amend the Migration Act in response to the West Papuans arriving. And I think those 3 things added to, of course, the David Hicks campaign, and of course there's people from here. I'm not sure how many of you attended the candlelight vigil that we held. G'day. But 1,500 people turned up for a candlelight vigil to deliver the petition to Alexander Downer, who subsequently told us that we should just leave the petition with the security guard down at the bottom of the building, and that led to the billboards that we put up at the entrance to the Sydney Harbour Bridge, so that when the Prime Minister and Alexander Downer and Philip Ruddock had to go to work and to drive home, they had to drive past the billboard. So, you know, there's been some really fantastic wins, and I think part of the winning streak is because we're a bit cheeky, and I think the media likes us because we're a bit out of the ordinary. So I would encourage you as GetUp members to, like, you know, we've got all these rules in place that sort of the traditional political framework has set for us, but I think those rules should be broken, and I think that part of that is this campaign here, which is about saving the Senate. The Senate itself, well, just from a sort of broader democracy building project, and GetUp is about, you know, building our democracy. Like, the Senate itself is designed, as we know, as a house of review, and it hasn't performed that function at all since the Prime Minister, since the coalition took control of the Senate. And as many of you will know, he said that he would treat the, in August 2005 actually, so it's exactly 2 years ago, that he would treat the Senate, his majority, soberly, wisely and sensibly. So it's just, but it's an absolute joke. And I think we had a forum last week in Canberra which was totally amazing. Like, first we invited Bob Brown if he would come, and he said yes. And then we invited Lynn Allison, who's the leader of the Democrats, and she said yes. And then we invited Harry Evans, who's the senator, the clerk of the Senate, which is kind of like, you know, the main, like, the big man in the Senate, the big top public servant, and he said he would come. And then we asked Barnaby Joyce, and he said he'd come. And then we asked Chris Evans, who's the leader of the ALP in the Senate, and he came. So we basically had all of the political parties and an empty chair for Nick Minchin, who sent an email in the afternoon saying, well, his staff saying he wasn't able to attend. But Harry Evans basically has said that the Prime Minister has treated the Senate, what did he say exactly? He called it a monarchy, and he said that we basically lost any form of parliamentary democracy. Now, what's happening at the moment with the Northern Territory Emergency Bill, like, I think, you know, everybody agrees that, you know, something needs to be done, of course. And I think that's the starting point, but it's what needs to be done, which is the question. And I think we've all seen what's happened over the last period, this last week, whereby, you know, the Senate has pretty much proved itself to be nothing more really than a rubber stamp. And there has been an extension of the debate. And the reason why there's been an extension of the debate is because 13,000 people wrote letters to the senators in the last 3 days. Who here wrote a letter to one of the senators? Yay. Great. So those letters went down, got hand-delivered. Today's Thursday. On Tuesday, we went down to Canberra, knocked on every single senator's door and handed them a sample of the letters. And then we also asked all of our members in the ACT to come to the Senate chamber. And there were 3 security guards there, and apparently they'd never seen anything like it, because it was on Tuesday night, I think it was, and there was 100 people in the gallery.